I didn't see my dad in human form. It was like he was just this spirit, and I in my heart I knew it was him, and the voice that came out of him, it was him. So I didn't see him in human form. He kind of came in like a spirit, and I sat there. I mean, I wish I could have seen his face. Hi guys, as you guys know, today's my dad's birthday. His first birthday without him. And as I was writing my birthday post today, I was thanking God for taking my dad the way he did, as in he didn't suffer at all. He didn't go on any type of suffering, which I am grateful for. In my post, I was just saying, you know, because of that, we get to remember him as peaceful and happy and joyful as he was. And we don't have to, when we think about it, you know, we don't have to think that he suffered, because he didn't. But while doing my post, because I was talking about that, I felt the Holy Spirit kind of tell me to share my dream. I've had 2 dreams of my dad, but this one was very emotional, very vivid, and just so meaningful to my mom. And I'm sure for others that is going through the same thing. So my dream was this month on the 6th, so July 6th, and the beginning of my dream, it was me and my Uncle Freddie, which is my dad's youngest brother. We're helping a family member get situated in a room, and I kind of knew that he wasn't doing too good. And so as we helped him kind of lay on this bed or surface, I saw my dad. My dad came to see him, and my dad just kind of sat in the front of this person, and I knew it was him. And in my dream, I already knew that my dad had passed. So to see him, I was kind of happy. But I walked towards him, and I said, "Hey, Dad, can I talk to you for a second? I want to ask you something." And he said, "Okay." So we kind of left the room that that person was in. And I told my dad, I told him, "Dad, why didn't God allow us to see you in the hospital those last days? And 2, why didn't you come back?" And my dad's like, do you hear that? And he kind of pointed to the room or that person where we were before. And he said, do you hear that? And there was a lady in there weeping and crying, and it reminded me of my mom on his day, on the day of his celebration back in Hawaii. It reminded me just like that. He said, do you hear that? I said, yeah. He said, that's exactly what I didn't want any of you guys to be doing over me, you know, the last days in the hospital. I said, okay. I said, then why didn't you come back to us, you know? And my dad, he said, everything happened the way God wanted it to happen. And I said, oh. And he explained that if he would have came back, If he would have came back to us, it only would have been a little while, and he would have suffered anyway. And then that was kind of it. He just explained that everything happened the way it was supposed to be. It was, God let it happen like that, and he would have came back, but he didn't want us to see him suffer, and the way he went was better than it would have. If you guys don't know, my mom has been struggling with that question, why. She's been struggling with wanting to know, like, my dad's last words, because at the end of those days, we could just hear him breathe on the phone, and he couldn't really respond. But for me, I felt like it was a big confirmation for my mom, because she always wanted to know if he did suffer. She always wanted to know, kind of why he didn't come back. And, just those were the main two things that my mom has been struggling with. And I know for a fact it was for my mom. And and the reason why, I know for a fact is, my question to my dad would be, do you see my father-in-law? And how does heaven look like? That would have been my question to my dad, is how beautiful is heaven? And, how is my father-in-law? Those would have been my two questions immediately off my head, but to ask those two questions, which I didn't need confirmation, but my mom did. That's why this dream is very meaningful. And I'm sorry. And I felt like maybe you guys can hear, and kind of relate. God gives us dreams, he gives us visions, and we really have to share them. And this was one of my very very meaningful dream, or just God giving me this for me to ask my dad, or my mom. And I didn't see my dad in human form. It was like he was just this spirit, and I in my heart I knew it was him, and the voice that came out of him, it was him. So I didn't see him in human form. He kind of came in like a spirit, and I sat there. I wish I could have seen his face like my other dream, but this dream I couldn't get to see him, but I knew it was him. It's hard to explain, but that was my dream, and I figured I'd share that with you on his birthday, that heaven is real, and God is real, and hell is as real too. So I'm kind of speechless, and it's hard for me to share this. I've only shared this with just a handful of my family that just lives in here, and eventually I was going to share it later, but I felt like I just had to share it on his birthday to honor him, honor God, and just thank God for this dream, for this last conversation with my dad, because it felt so real, so real.
so real and so thankful that he's flying high. So thankful that he confirms all the time where he is, and nobody but God can do that, Jesus. And I pray that you guys have a awesome, blessed day, and I can't wait to be back in Hawaii for his 1 year next month. I love you, Dad.